Okay. How's it, everybody? Today we'll be tying a red tag CDC jig. The fly came about from fishing with a couple of the competition anglers. Basically, I mean, I'm sure it's been tied before. It looks like the Zulu, you know, a simple fly, that sort of style, except it's just a couple of features that I've modified and made it, you know, a little bit different. The gem about this fly is that you can fish it almost anywhere. I've caught largemouth yellowfish, I've caught smallmouth, Natal yellowfish, brown trout, rainbow trout, anything in a river pretty much eats this thing. I usually fish it as a control fly or a dropper fly. So it's the fly that you would use as opposed to using split shot or lead, yeah, split lead or whatever. Other than that, it's possibly the easiest tie in the world, easiest fly in the world to tie. You'll see shortly. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of materials or anything like that. It sinks quickly. It's got all those sort of benefits that you'd like from a fly. That being said, I am a little bit nervous. This is the first time I've tied in front of a group of people. Second of all, I shake naturally. I do shake. I've got the shakes in general, which may, you know, it might get a little bit worse, but you know what, if you deal with me, we'll get there eventually. Yeah, one's finished already. Okay, so there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can either glue the tungsten bead to the eye of the hook to set it in place. I don't like doing. This is a size 14 jig hook. A jig hook, correct. Sorry? Oh. You can see the eye of the hook is down facing. When you fish the fly, basically the fly would swim upside down. So now this is your dropper fly, your control fly. It's a heavy fly. Because the point of the hook is upside down, not only do you get a better hookup when the fish eats the fly, you don't catch the bottom as much. So it's, you know, it's got many different benefits. Is there anything else anybody would like to know about the hook? The bead is a silver tungsten faceted bead. It's a 3.5mm bead. I like this particular size of bead. I'm not, you know, I've used them in the 3mm. I don't really go down to 2.5mm. Mainly because this is a control fly pattern for me. I mean, it's open to interpretation. Anybody can use it like they would. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple. You can see it's a slotted bead. So I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it's got like an open back like that, and that just helps it sit on this hook that's facing downwards. Any questions before we get started?
Yeah, the slot goes on the underside.
You would put the point of the hook through the eye of the bead. Yeah, so the slot is the back facing side. Correct.
Could you use a normal tungsten bead, the orange one or something like that?
I'm sure you could, but
These are all tungsten. You don't get salted brass.
yeah.
But the normal round one, you don't need the one with the slot at the back.
You won't get down unless you go very quick. You get around onto the bend of
Where it goes down.
0.5 that one.
So it's a big normal bead, but like for a size 14, you're probably going to be using a 3 to 3.5 mil to get it over that bend because it's got a sharp angle. The smaller beads are 2.5 mils won't get over that stuff.
Cool. So we're going to start with white thread. I've got a uni thread here, 8/0. Have you said? The reason we use white is because when we use the flash, which is going to be your thorax or abdomen part here, the skinny part. The reason we use white is so that you get quite a nice sheen on the fly after we've tied it with once we've colored it in with a permanent marker. So if you guys need a permanent marker, please feel free to come and pinch my one and color in your fly. Okay, so we'll get started. The way I like to do it is I just wrap the eye or the back side of the bead and tie it the bead is firmly secured, as you can see, the more you wrap, the bead will start to face, look like it's sitting fast.
You're tapering it towards the back.
Yeah, you taper it down, but just the initial couple of turns, you're going to make quite a nice fat little ball there. Well, that's the way I do it, just to keep the bead in place. I don't like to use glue because sometimes the glue gets stuck in the eye of the hook and it just makes things messy. Okay, then you can taper it all the way down, and you can go all the way down to the back of the hook, or the bend of the hook. Okay, give it a quick trim. Oh shit. Okay. Alright. And what we'll do is we will start with the red tag part. I like the red tag. It's guys love to fish it. I usually, what I do is, I do a lot of fishing, but I like to look at what guys are doing. Guys who catch a lot of fish, and I take their ideas and I try and put it into a fly. So red tag seems to be quite a decent trigger, as well as the silver faceted bead. So that's why I like to fish these two in combination. The next thing I'm going to do here is I've got some. I'm not too sure what this material is, to be honest. I found it in the bottom of my tying kit about a month, or let's say 6 months ago, and I started using it to tie this fly. But when I opened up the packaging, I lost the label, so I have no idea what it's called. This is what it looks like. So if you guys want to come and feel it and try and take a photo of it, you're more than welcome.
It's not regular dubbing, is it?
No, it's
Antron.
yeah. It would. You can see that.
Antron, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you pinch yourself a decent amount. There's no particular rule. I like to tie the flies as sparsely as possible. That's the way I like to do things. Okay, so we'll tie it in. Excuse the shakes. Okay, now especially with this Antron, you've got to start trimming quite soon. Okay, so you tie it in, you cut off a little piece, and you try and make it as neatly as you can. So now you can see you've got quite a decent piece of red tag there. I've got far too much actually, but for the purposes of this video, I've got one that's tied quite nicely over here. We'll leave it there. The rule of thumb for this is feel. You have a look at the red tag, and you can decide for yourself how long you want to make it. Rather too short than too long, in my opinion. You can make it something sort of to that vibe. I've got far too much here, so I'm just going to trim it.
Can I pass it around?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. That's fine. Okay. The next step we're going to put in is our silver wire. When I find it. Okay, I've got your ultra slim wire, or the ultra wire. It's the small. I also like it just as a sort of trigger. It gives it a bit of something different. Ladies wear earrings and that sort of stuff. I suppose it's the same sort of effect. So we'll just tie it in like you would your normal ribbing, or whatever you would use. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 2 to 3 strands of this UV tinsel flash from Flashaboo. You can order it online from African Flyangler. Okay. Oh, the label. There you go. Okay. You want to use the UV. You don't want the green. You don't want the green sheen. You want the UV sort of bluish sheen to it. You'll see it now once we color in the fly. You'll see the effect it has, and it's quite unique. You get 2 different sizes. This is in fact not the right size Flashaboo. You get one that's slightly thicker, which makes life a little bit easier, but I made the investment. I'm too lazy to buy it again, so we're stuck with this one. So you've got 2 pieces of this UV Flashaboo. You know, give yourself about 20 centimeters or so, just so you can wrap the fly nicely. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to take your 2 pieces of Flashaboo, you're going to keep it quite nice and tight, and you're just going to wrap it forward. You can go all the way up to where the bead starts. Just tie it in, give it a quick trim. Okay, so the next part is we're going to use our permanent marker. Now the trick with this is not to tie or to color in the whole fly. What you want to do is you want to color in the sides of the fly so it gives it like a flashback sort of effect, if that makes sense. What's going to happen though is that the ink is going to bleed to the belly of the fly and also on the top, so it gives it like it's dark on the sides, and then on the top it gives us like UV sort of sheen, which is very nice. So we're going to attempt this with my shakes, but we'll get it.
Colouring it in on the side.
Yeah, on the sides, yeah, on both sides, and you'll see it'll bleed. So once I turn it back, you can't really see the sheen from there, but from here you'll be able to see it. There you go. The next step that we're going to do is we're just going to wrap your silver wire forward. Try and keep it nice and uniform.
Touching turns.
No.
Sorry?
Touching turns.
Touching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like you would with your ribbing.
6 turns.
Oh, you can. I mean, that's up to you. You can go tighter. You can do more. Okay. Next step is we're going to add in some of this ice dabbing UV dark olive. So it's more like a blue than olive. I don't know if you can see that. What I like to do with this is I don't like to put the dubbing on too tightly. It gives it quite a nice little collar that sits underneath your CDC, almost like a skirt, I suppose.
You always use white thread for this, eh?
Yeah. Funny enough, when I first started tying these flies, I come in with the nerves and all my bloody shakes. It's looking like a bit of an amateur one, this one. But when I first started tying this fly, I tied it with black. And, you know, we caught a couple of fish, but it didn't quite have the same effect. The second we changed to the white thread, which is actually a trick that Gary Glenn Young uses with his, I think it's his gun or one of those flies. He does this exact same method, except he's, you know, it's a different fly with legs and all sorts of different features. So now you can wrap it quite close to the bead of the hook. It doesn't matter if you go right up against the bead of the hook, because when you tie in your CDC, you'll just tie it over the dubbing. What you can also do, which is quite nice, is you can almost take like a toothbrush, which I didn't bring with me today. If you can take a toothbrush, you can almost brush out the dubbing, the little dubbing fibers a little bit. It gives it a bit of something different, if that's what you want to do. Okay. The next part of this process is tying in your CDC feather. This one too doesn't have a label, but it's CDC. I'm sure you guys know what it looks like. Okay, now this next part is up to your discretion. You can either trim the one side of the feather if you like, or you can leave it. You can just tie in the feather like this. To be quite honest, if I'm having a bad day at work, it might change the way I tie the fly. It really doesn't bother me. For the purposes of this video, because I've tied this fly quite fat and thick, I'm actually going to trim the one side of the CDC feather. So what you do is you just get nice and close up against the. Can you see that? Oh yeah. Just get nice and close up against the I don't know what's this, the stem of the. Yeah. And you just trim it all the way nicely to the top there. Like I mean, also you don't need to be too neat about it. Doesn't bother me. Okay. So what I like to do is I actually like to start with the top of the feather. So this part of the feather, as opposed to the stem part of the feather. So you start with the top part of the feather, and you don't want to start too close to the top of the feather, otherwise it's just going to snap the whole time. It's really going to piss you off. So what I do is I just take it about a centimeter down, like that. Okay, see? And then you just tie it in with a couple of wraps. Yes, correct. Trim the top of the fly or the feather. Get rid of that. I mean, you've got all your different tools to do this. And now what you do is you just clamp the top of the feather. Like that. Oh shit. And now what you do is you just wrap. You don't want to put too much tension because otherwise you'll snap the feather. But you wrap once. Push the CDC back. Wrap another one. Push the CDC back. Wrap again. Push the CDC back all the way until you're pretty much done. See, we'll neaten it up now, and then what you do is you just tie it off. Now what you can do is you just trim the feather. I finish off the feather. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, if you again, it's up to your discretion. If you want the fly sparsely tied, then you'll obviously wrap it fewer times or whatever. It really is You see, that's the fly we're dealing with at the moment. Then what you can also do is, I like to keep it a little bit uniform. What I'll do is I'll take the CDC and I'll run it to the edge of the red tag, and then I'll just break it off. I'll just get rid of all the cut that's at the back there. And it just makes it a bit neater and what have you. So this particular fly has so many different sort of, I don't know what you would call them, triggers or attractors or whatever the case may be, because your CDC in the water is really going to, kind of push and flutter around, especially in your back eddies and in those sort of places where the water is, kind of churning and whatever. You'll see the CDC will kind of do that sort of thing. That's pretty much tied off. There you go. Nice and easy, nice and quick. This is not the best specimen I've ever tied, but probably still catch a fish.
Very good.
Any questions?
You said it's designed to swim upside down.
Yeah.
What makes it swim upside down?
So the
Just the jig.
so the shape of the hook. So you'll see.